hour.
News 360 headlines is brought.
National Front.
We're live around the world on our website, which is 3news.com. We're streaming on Facebook as well. And if you're watching us on DSTV, this is channel 279.
The news now in detail. And the Member of Parliament for Garu, Albert Alaluzuga, has called on government to initiate a probe into military brutalities on civilians in the constituency. A contingent of armed military personnel in the early hours of Sunday stormed some communities and brutalized residents, leaving several people with varied degrees of injuries.
We were in the room, I and my husband. So they came and they were not. So we thought they were armed robbers. So we defended ourselves, not knowing that they were soldiers. So they came and started scattering our room, asking us to bring out gas.
Merciless beatings and other forms of abuse have left many residents traumatized. They were not told what their offense was.
All our rooms, our doors, they break everything and started beating my husband. That is what happened. They beat him until they sent him out. They beat him to the station.
Sources close to the security say the operation was to flush out suspected terrorists in the area. But security analyst Dr. Adambona believes it was rather an act to brutalize the resident.
If you are there claiming to be fighting terrorism or, countering terrorism, then what I would say is that you need the involvement of the people. And so this doesn't look like, an activity to counter terrorists, but this looks like an operation to brutalize people in the area. It's despicable, to say the least. And my own checks, I'm yet to know who issued the command for the military to go there. But I think that on this account, somebody else is doing something that some of us don't understand.
Many of the civilians have fled their homes to avoid being victims and are living in fear. The Member of Parliament for Garu, Albert Alaluzuga, wants the government to investigate the incident.
I call on government to investigate this matter, get to the bottom of the matter, and then let us understand why the military should act this way. It's too barbaric, it is unprofessional. As I speak to you, I'm told that there's a helicopter that is hovering around the constituency. People are afraid. They don't even know why they are there. I'm certainly going to take this matter up on the floor of Parliament because there are all manner of allegations being bandied around.
Relative calm has been restored in the area.
The military were in, but they left the shores of Garu around 6 a.m. this morning. And so as I talk to you now, there's no military presence in the area. There's no death at all, not to my knowledge. I was in the hospital. Since we started carrying the people to the hospital, calmness is restoring. The situation is quite calm now.
A number of people have been arrested. Others have fled to different towns in neighboring Togo.
It's not fair. We don't even know why they are doing that.
Christian Yale, TV3 News.
Meanwhile, the Zugra Na has condemned the military brutalities in Garu and Timpani, which has left several citizens injured. We are told they are receiving treatment at various health facilities in the region.
Hundreds of residents, including women and children, are currently receiving treatment at hospitals in Garu and Timpani for injuries sustained during a dawn military attack and brutality on them. The soldiers were said to be attempting to retrieve arms used during the attack on national security operatives. Some of the victims have been speaking about their ordeals.
We had our door knocked, the gate, and the dogs were barking, so I came out to check, only to realize that there were military men. They invaded the entire town and started asking us that we should come out. So we came out and they made us to roll on the ground, made us to hop, and we were now kept in one place around the community center. We received beatings for more than 2 hours. And the district chief executive for the Garu and Timpani actually tried intervening, but to no avail. So the act, I would describe it as barbaric, because it was so serious that we all felt so bad. And as we speak, you realize that the Prince Hospital, the health center, is full. And other hospitals too are taking people, and they are taking care of them. So we are pleading that the president of the country should look onto this matter and let us also understand that We are citizens. We are not just people from a different country. But I happens to be the assemblyman for Garu Natinga. And they attacked every part of the Garu township and rendered several people injured at various degrees. I am a victim because military came into my house numbering 7, woke up my 6-year-old boy and beat him up. I think they beat up to 5 people, and injured them at various degrees. They went to one of my elder brother's room, broke in, picked money with undisclosed amounts, and then they picked mobile phones and left with it.
A delegation from the Boko Naba, Zugrana Naba Asigri Abugrago Azoka II, led by the Wande chief, visited victims in Garu and Timpani district hospitals. The delegation condemned the attack on the Garu and Timpani resident, but called for calm as the traditional council takes steps to have the matter investigated.
Garu is not a security zone, and we will not allow anybody to be intimidated. As a traditional council, there will be no way we will allow our subjects to be intimidated. And so be rest assured, sleep well, because leadership is at work.
Meanwhile, a team of doctors from Kusau led by Dr. Francis Akum responded to distress calls from the Garu and Timpani district hospitals.
Right, so we would in a minute be speaking to Richard Kumado, who is a security analyst, is joining us. And then also we have Castro Senyala, who is our Upper East Regional correspondent, on standby to give us the latest regarding this incident. But a bit of a backstory. What led to the current developments we are seeing? The Ministry of National Security has released a statement, and it says, amongst other things, that it will not countenance the deliberate acts that seek to jeopardize the lives of personnel of state security and intelligence agencies. So those are extracts of the statement on your screen. It goes on to say, armed irate youth group besieged a team of 5 counter-terrorism intelligence officers deployed to Garu on a critical special operation. Youth fired multiple gunshots. The officers drove to Garu police station but were pursued by the youth, because these youth in the area said that they did not know and could not trust the identities of these men who were in a V8 vehicle. The youth encircled police stations and fired multiple shots. That's according to the Ministry of National Security. Ghana Armed Forces intervened to evacuate the security personnel from the Garu police station. And so on the back of this development, the National Security is saying that they decided to work with the Ghana Armed Forces to conduct joint operation in Garu to seize weapons used by the perpetrators, in this regard, the youth. And also went on to say a number of perpetrators have been arrested. We will get that confirmation from our reporter shortly. We are told that the security situation in the area seems quite unstable as we speak. Let's speak to Senyala Castro, who is our Upper East Regional correspondent. Senyala, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Yes, good evening, Martin.
Can you give us the latest? What update have you been able to gather regarding this development that many have described as unfortunate?
Yes, so the police in the region have been tight-lipped since the incident happened this dawn. But what we gather now as the latest on the issue is that the suspects who were picked up in the swoop have been transported under heavy military protection to the police headquarters in Borga, where they are being interrogated. Just like the statement said, the statement from the National Security stated, you know, when the youth group confronted the operatives of the National Security, it is said that they were wielding some sophisticated weapons. And so the National Security and that of the Ghana Armed Forces have been trying as much as possible to pick these suspects who they want to interrogate, to be able to retrieve these weapons they are using. That's what we understand. But the police have been tight-lipped. They haven't said much, except that sources within the police have been telling us that they are taking them through a rigorous interrogation, and they hope that they will be able to retrieve these weapons to ensure that the situation in the area, especially Boko and Enclave, does not escalate.
Right, and we are told that the military have left the area. Can you clarify that for us?
Yes, I understand that the military has left the area, but the time is what I can't confirm, because when I spoke to my sources, there in fact some sources within the police in the Boko area, they told me that the military had indeed left, but some deployment was still there to ensure that peace, quiet is maintained, because for them, the youth had become agitated and were saying that they would retaliate if the military comes into their homes again. And so some men stayed back to ensure that that did not happen. But as we speak now, we understand that most of and I can say entirely, the military has moved its equipment and its men out of Garu.
Thank you so much, Castro Sanyala, for that update from the Garu area, where we are told that earlier today, that was late last night, I should say, the national security operatives and some soldiers undertook an operation which left unbelievable scars on the back of some citizens in that catchment area. Let's speak to Richard Kumado, who is a fraud and security expert. Mr. Kumado, good evening. Thank you for your time. Hello, Mr. Kumado, can you hear me? Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Richard Kumado, who is a fraud and security analyst, and was joining us to, put into perspective for us what exactly the situation is and that has played out in the last 24 hours, because there seemed to be some pent-up anger that is growing following this, what many have described as a barbaric and a shameful act by the security agencies on citizens, because they said they were looking for weapons. When we do get Mr. Kumado, we'll put a few questions to him.
Let's continue with the rest of our stories. And the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodua Frimpong, says aspirants making vote-buying allegations ahead of the flag-bearer election on November 4 must support their allegations with evidence. The governing New Patriotic Party will go to the polls on November 4 to elect a presidential candidate for the 2024 elections. Judith Brown has more.
Among current party issues is the breakaway of founding MPP member Alan Tremonting, based on claims that he and the members associated with him have been treated with disdain. The General Secretary of the MPP, Justin Kodua, in an interview on TV3's Hot Issues, however, debunked these claims.
In this government, we had ministers who are cabinet members who were supporting Mr. Tremonting. At no point in time did we hear even one of them complaining that he or she has been vilified or has been persecuted because he or she is supporting Mr. Tremonting.
He states that the MPP will not have a problem if Alan Tremonting decides to rejoin the party.
He decided to opt out from the political party. So if for one or two reasons, maybe he wants to come back, as a general secretary of the party, I'll have no problems with it.
With only a week until the party's presidential primaries, concerns have been raised about some flag-bearer aspirants paying to be voted for in the November 4 primaries. But Justin Kodua says such allegations must be backed with evidence.
Unless maybe you caught someone at taking money or someone paying money to a delegate. So at the end of the day, when a person makes allegation, it should be backed by evidence.
Are you telling me the party treated those as hearsays?
Of course. If you make allegation, you don't bring evidence. So I should be going around asking delegates, how much did someone give to you?
The upcoming presidential primaries, according to the MPP, will be conducted in a manner similar to a national election.
The elections are going to be held as if we are conducting national elections. In the previous elections or constituency elections, whereby the party delegates will gather at one place and several speakers will come and speak, and there will be that euphoria and those things. It's not going to happen this time around. This time around, the Electoral Commission and the police will be fully in charge of the process. So it will be like a general election. You just walk in, you go and cast your vote, then you leave.
The General Secretary has meanwhile urged Professor Frimpong Boateng to provide evidence for his claims that members of the party were instructed to make life difficult for him following his report on illegal mining.
If he can provide evidence to prove or to buttress the point that he has made, then I can speak to it. But at the end of the day,
were members instructed to make life difficult for him?
I was never instructed. None of the national officers, none of our party rank and file have been called, have been instructed to go A or go B. And I consider it as a derogatory statement, even against the party.
Judith Brown, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from the NPP, members of parliament are expected to resume sitting on October 31 after a 3-month break. In this report, Evelyn Tenma projects the agenda for the House in what appears to be a rather short session.
Members of Parliament went on recess on August 3 and were expected to resume in the 3rd week of October, but due to some assignments that the leadership had to engage in, the resumption date was postponed.
Initially, we thought after the conference we were going to be able to reconvene on Tuesday, but later on we gave ourselves, I think, another week. We thought that if we're not able to do it on the 10th, we're going to go on the 17th. So that was tentatively what we planned to do. Something escaped us. What escaped us is the pendency of the Interparliamentary Union conference in Angola. It begins on the 20th and ends on the 26th or so.
The House will now resume on October 31. Members will have several tasks to complete before the Christmas break in December. One of the major issues will be the budget statement for the 2024 fiscal year to be presented by the Finance Minister.
Normally, the budgets will come around the 15th of November. So we reconvene maybe a month or so to deal with outstanding businesses, including bills that may have to be done before the budget is presented. Now, 31st, we have barely 2 weeks. So it means that we are going to have just about 7 weeks or so for the next meeting of Parliament. It's going to be the shortest. And then we'll have to crowd so many things into that short space of time.
The Speaker's ad hoc committee is expected to present its report on the leaked audio tape allegedly to oust the Inspector General of Police. The havoc rigged by the Akonsombo and Kwong Dams spillage will definitely be brought to the House's attention, and the Speaker is likely to give some directives. Some MPs have already stated that some officials at the Volta River Authority have questions to answer. Another issue that may be raised on the floor of Parliament may be the Minority Caucus and its demand for the removal of the Bank of Ghana governor and his 2 deputies. But the Majority Leader has given hints of what his side would do on this matter.
We could have invited the governor to come and talk to issues that are not clear to us. You go on a demonstration, you organize a press conference against them, what you think is happening within the corridors, and then you go on a demonstration. Then you come back to Parliament to move a motion. Do you want me to support that?
This meeting of Parliament, though according to the Majority Leader, is going to be a very short one, a lot more is expected for it to handle. Aside the matters mentioned above, there are also some outstanding bills to be worked on, such as the promotion of the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, also known as the Anti-Gay Bill. Loans, tax waivers, instruments may also be presented. Ministers will definitely be scheduled to answer questions on the floor, as well as the Speaker may admit statements and motions for debate. And all these may have to be done before members rise again for the Christmas break in December. Evelyn Tinkma, TV3 News, Parliament House.
Right, to some other stories now. And annually, 15 million people worldwide suffer a stroke. Of these, 5 million die and another 5 million are left permanently disabled, placing a burden on family and community. As the world marks Stroke Day, Portia Gabo finds out how swift medical interventions help patients with stroke improve their quality of life.
Stroke, a neurological disorder that causes one of the world's biggest health burdens. Stroke causes disability and even death, with some survivors experiencing speech difficulty.
Stroke is actually a neurological condition which is actually characterized by a decrease in the blood flow to the brain. And it's actually an impending emergency because what is causing the decrease in the blood flow to the brain, it can either be a bleed or it can be an ischemic type, ischemic or hemorrhagic. With advanced technology, it's been tailored down to try and identify the response times to help increase the survival rates of these cases.
Here at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, a man is brought in with a stroke. He needs to undergo emergency surgery. Doctors ask him to move parts of his body, but he's unable to do so.
What's the car? Would I try pigeon summer? Okay. Pigeon summer. Okay. Try pigeon 9 mama. Good. Pigeon 9 other one also.
His family eagerly waits outside the theatre.
He got up one morning and went to work as usual. He went to have break with his colleagues. After break over, all of them were returning to work. Everybody left and he was still seated. So most of them thought that he was just being lazy. So they called him and he was not responding. Before they got closer, tapped him and he was still not responding. He tried to lift his right arm and then it fell by itself. So that was when they detected that he wasn't really well.
We know it's that he's having a BP. For that one, we can't deny that he's not a BP patient. He's a BP patient. But to this situation there, in fact, we are facing a lot, especially the one who is taking the lead for us.
Medical professionals have a huge task ahead to remove the blood clots from his head that caused the stroke.
Described as a silent killer, stroke is one of the top 10 causes of deaths in Ghana. Here at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, a patient is currently undergoing surgery to remove a blood clot from his brain, which caused his stroke. Medical professionals do not want you to undergo this process, and they want you to check your blood pressure levels occasionally.
If you don't remove the clot, it's like putting a rock on your leg. You have that heaviness on your leg and you can't move it. And it will take about a month for the clot to reabsorb, minimum. And it means that within that time, the patient will get worse.
Globally, stroke is the second leading cause of death and the third leading cause of disability. Esther Brefo came to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital with a case of stroke and suspicion of a ruptured aneurysm. It was confirmed through further scans that the cause of her stroke was an aneurysm. The aneurysm and its blood compressed on the nerve to cause her eyelid to drop. She needed a specialist quickly. Through the Sanford World Clinic in Ghana, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital teamed up to help save her. Instead of a cerebral bypass procedure, which would have cost her $300,000, a small stent was rather used for the surgery.
The procedure went really well. Patient was doing really well post-operatively, so we're happy with the results as of now. And I really hope that this will serve as a foundation for further expansion of the services to community here in Accra.
After surgery, Esther recuperates slowly.
I am so grateful. I would have lost my mom if not for them. And so I want to say thank you to each and every one of them. Anybody who helped, the institution that brought him in, and all of it was at their own costs.
4 months after surgery, I meet her again. She's hale and hearty with no sign of an eyelid drop. The doctors have indeed done extremely well in taking very good care of me during my stay at the hospital. Consultant neurosurgeon Professor Samuel Kaba is advocating for a national stroke program.
It's a comprehensive treatment. In most of the developed world, we have what we call stroke task force, and then you got the stroke units. They are dedicated to that, and you have the stroke team. So at the community level, there's the need to do a lot of education to let people know that if there is a patient with a stroke, sudden fall, collapse, and is in coma, what do you do to save the patient's life at home, which all of us should know. Then after that, you have a number to call. And when you bell that number, there should be an immediate response to come for the patient and transport the patient
to the facility. And the facility that will be receiving should also be in the known that this kind of case is coming. And the system that is transporting the patient should have the necessary equipment to transport the patient.
According to the World Health Organization, 90% of strokes could be prevented by addressing a small number of risk factors, including high blood pressure and irregular heartbeat, smoking, diet, and exercise. As the world marks Stroke Day, there is the need to raise awareness of the condition and ensure better care and support for survivors. Portia Gabo, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now go to the Savannah region, where pregnant women at Gore and its adjoining communities in the North Gonja district have been compelled to deliver at home, while the Community Health Planning and Services compound started in 2016 is yet to be completed. Residents are worried that the delay in completing the project is contributing to maternal and child mortality in the area. Our correspondent Christopher Amwako was in the area and reports that the District Assembly says the project has been re-awarded on contracts for completion.
Umma Adiza is one of the traditional birth attendants at Gore. She was called upon to deliver a baby few hours before the news team arrived. She tells me the lack of electricity and delay in completing a chief's compound has brought more pressure on her, as she could be called upon to do more than 5 deliveries a day. We don't have electricity, and the health facility under construction has also stalled. As a traditional birth attendant, it is difficult for me in emergency situations like bleeding. Due to the delay in completing the project, residents seeking healthcare services would have to travel longer distance of over 30 kilometers to Tolong or Tamale.
This facility you see in the background is a chief's compound which has been in this state for the past 7 to 8 years. Now, as can be seen in the background, I am unable to access the facility because weeds have taken over the entire facility, making it impossible to access the facility.
For the residents, the situation is causing high maternal and child mortalities.
We have lost quite a number of pregnant women and children here due to the stress in accessing a health facility. Yet, authorities don't care.
The North Gonja district was carved out of the then larger West Gonja district in 2012. North Gonja District Chief Executive Adam Ilyasu says the chief's compound has been re-awarded on contract.
I think that is a genuine call, and all of us are worried. Our hopes should be high, in the sense that, like I indicated earlier, the Deputy Minister of Health is our Member of Parliament. And so that one alone is enough to keep our hopes high.
The Community-Based Health Planning and Services Chiefs Policy is a national health reform program that seeks to provide health care at the doorsteps of the rural communities. The concept is also aimed at reducing health inequalities and promoting equity in health outcomes as part of attaining universal health coverage.
For residents living around this enclave, the completion of this facility will improve access to healthcare delivery within the Go and its surrounding communities. The North Gonja District Assembly and the Office of the Member of Parliament will have to intervene to ensure that this facility is completed to serve its intended purpose.
Right. After almost 6 months of being on admission at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital and his inability to go home when discharged because he could not pay for his medical bills, 14-year-old Aaron Monosuo is now home. TV3 viewers through the 3 Foundation and a philanthropist have paid for his entire medical bill, as well as $5,000, I should say, for his rehabilitation. Portia Gabo brings us the heartwarming story of how Ghanaians came together to give Aaron freedom.
Bibi abehu mi bana oda hono. Ni kasa ni nansi enkwa de hu hia mi. Enu na hia me. Mi pari kasa ni nansi na hia mi.
On October 15, 2023, TV3 News broadcasts the heartbreaking story of a 14-year-old boy who could not go home after being discharged due to his inability to pay his medical bills of 50,000 cedis. A passionate appeal was made to the public by his mother to help pay for her son's medical bills and rehabilitation costs. Touched by the story, TV3 viewers through the 3 Foundation came together to raise 47,926 cedis to pay his medical bills. A philanthropist also donated $5,000 for his rehabilitation efforts to enable him speak and walk again.
We are so thankful to TV3 and the viewers for this gesture of helping discharge our patient Aaron. We can't be thankful enough for all your interest and all your zeal to help people constantly.
Ne omo ba be yimi me ne me ba ko fie. E ya de a ebu madwun so a menti ase no. Me da 3 Foundation for mercy.
Today, my son and I will be released from the hospital. Thank you, 3 Foundation. Thanks also to the philanthropist who donated the $5,000.
No, I come and say, Munyame shra obebre, e wa do wa ya kire me. Me ma me remfin so de bia me kai wo e wo mpaebo mu. Onyame be bie kwan bia da wani mu ama wo.
Then came the moment they had been waiting for.
The day that Aaron and his family have been waiting for has finally arrived. Call it a day of freedom. He's now leaving the Greater Accra Regional Hospital after being here on admission for many months. And indeed, he is a fighter. Thanks to you for your donations and thanks to the philanthropist that gave $5,000 for his rehab. And as he finally leaves the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, he's hopeful for a brighter future and waiting for the day that he will be able to speak again.
Aaron's story is a rare one of Ghanaians coming together to support a person in need. Portia Gabo, TV3 News, Accra.
TV3 viewers are the best. Thank you all for donating to give Aaron his freedom.
And we are so thankful to you as you keep giving. Well, we're still staying on health-related issues because 8-year-old Inshiraba Boateng can now heave a sigh of relief after philanthropists donated $9,000 through the 3 Foundation to pay for her medical bills.
8-year-old Inshiraba Boateng was diagnosed with a congenital heart condition known as a hole in the heart. She needed $9,000 to pay her medical bills before surgery could be conducted, an amount her parents could not afford. Touched by the story, a philanthropist donated $9,000 through the 3 Foundation to help pay for her medical bills.
The maker train say a radin shirano pa wanyane kese on tunen kwande money na sifu nyina 3 Foundation for so de mintiminda masinwe.
Thank you to the 3 Foundation and the philanthropist for helping pay the medical bills of my daughter. We are indeed grateful.
Radin shiramo noma majuma nkoso.
The 3 Foundation followed up at the Cardiothoracic Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to pay for her bills. TV3 will follow up on her condition and update viewers.
Still watching News 360 on TV3, and like we say, we thank you for all this assistance you give to us to give to our fellow Ghanaians who are in dire need. Well, we have more stories for you right after this, including what can Ghana learn from Singapore in Ghana's quest to be a developed country. We all seem to have gotten independence around the same time, but look at Singapore, look at Ghana. Details of that and more right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo Superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities of 1,000 cedis and upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID, no savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. Call Quick Credit today, 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
In more news tonight, Singapore is the best place to live in the world. That's according to Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation's annual expert survey. With little land and no natural resources, the island city-state has been called the 20th century's most successful development story. In this report, George Queenan takes us on a tour of the country, well known for its cleanliness and strict rules, and what Ghana can learn from the country.
The Singapore story is a tale of incredible progress and development, transforming into a global economic powerhouse. Before my visit, I had heard a lot about the island city-state, particularly its strict rules, where it is even illegal to chew gum. I was quite apprehensive because one of the basic things you can easily find in my pouch is a pack of chewing gum. People found to be chewing gum, selling or just carrying them were imposed with heavy fines ranging from 500 to 100,000 Singapore dollars, which is equivalent to over 4,300 to 860,000 cedis. Offenders could also face up to 2 years of imprisonment, and these conditions are comparable to Singapore's littering fines. Today, the chewing gum ban is more lenient, but the restrictions on the sale of chewing gum remains one of the most well-known laws. You want to know why this law was instituted? The major event that contributed to the chewing gum ban was the unveiling of the Mass Rapid Transit Project, MRT, where the country invested some $5 billion to facilitate smooth and rapid transport for 8 people, but unfortunately, the door sensors of the trains were vandalized by sticking chewing gum. Talking about trains, the MRT project is efficient here, with most of Singapore's working class relying heavily on one of its cheapest mode of transportation. With a topped-up card, you can travel everywhere just by swiping. The curious me decided to explore the street to confirm further the cleanliness levels of the country.
I love Singapore. It's my first time. It's so lovely. Very clean. Very clean.
It's very clean. Not only here, you go everywhere. Even the estate side also clean.
Trees are dotted everywhere, and this aids inhalation. I've walked for roughly 20 minutes. And I'm yet to find filth. Truth is, I'm not exaggerating at all. I guess this might be an exercise in futility. Tourists in Singapore are highly impressed.
Me personally, if I'm going somewhere, I go along with a certain bottle. When I buy a sachet of water, I drop the sachet in it. But let's say Ghanaians, if you're being so or yeah, the moment of marrying on the bedrock form, it also counts. But here, you don't see it like that. And you see dustbins around, small dustbins, so everything is on point.
Fantastic. Everything is spotless. I'm from the UK. There's just no comparison.
Ghana deɛ te bola so. Ghana deɛ ɛyɛ bola so. Ubaha
Ghana is engulfed in filth, whereas Singapore is just like heaven.
Nearly 80% of Singapore's population resides in housing that is developed and managed by the Housing and Development Board. The government, following a land lease system common in other city-states, which allows it to keep other taxes low, owns the land and leases it out for 99 years to its citizens. Routes to tourist sites are well cut out, with activities properly coordinated to offer patrons everlasting memories. It takes a country that has zero tolerance for filth to implement periodic cleaning even at night time. When using public washrooms, there's a deliberate attempt to improve on services, and so feedback is sought from users, just like this one at the Changi Airport. Surprisingly, you need to clear your own plate anytime you eat at a restaurant of your choice. It may look like lots of work, but at least some results are being realized.
If other countries want to be liberal and let things be anyhow they want it to be, then they get anyhow results. And as you can see, these people are not getting anyhow results. They're getting real results that is making the country an attractive place.
Singapore actually started as an independent country with a relative similar economic standing to many African countries. But today, a small nation of 5.7 million people, also the second highest population density in the world, has left Africa behind, including Ghana, by a good country mile.
Actually, Singapore is just a crop of a rock in the sea. That's what an island is. They had no natural resources, and brings to the point that in the modern society, it's your people's capacity and their leadership that makes the difference, not the gold, which becomes oil, which can become a curse.
The Singapore of today has been touted as what First President Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah envisioned for Ghana.
The rule of law and order, it works. So that you know that you cannot get away when you do wrong. So, and that's where when we talk about the cleanliness and everything there, because the law works. You are not supposed to litter. If you litter, irrespective of who you are, the law will deal with you.
Indeed, Singapore presents a lesson worth emulating, and for a country like Ghana that wants to take giant steps with the right leadership and discipline, even low-hanging fruits like sanitation and making Accra the cleanest city in Africa would have been achieved. George Queening, TV3 News, Singapore.
Very sharp contrast, isn't it? So clearly, it's not just an issue of the leadership, but the citizens also have a role to play. And if we want Ghana to be a clean country and Accra the cleanest city, we all have a duty to bear. You're still watching News 360 on TV3. We'll be back with sports. Stay with us.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
There are some moments that last forever because they happen only once. Like your very first day, your first day of school, your first successful bike ride. What's your child's next milestone? Auntie Mary's Gripe Mixture is here to ensure they smile through it all. Auntie Mary's Gripe Mixture has been keeping children smiling for more than a decade by relieving them from gastric pain, flatulence, minor digestive upset, and teeth and discomfort. Now, Auntie Mary's Gripe Mixture. Auntie Mary's Gripe Mixture is manufactured and distributed by Ernest Chemists Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
When you're little, days are extremely busy. Work, traffic jams, meetings, conference calls. Luckily, our mom is here to take good care of us with Day by Day Baby and Day by Day Kids and their naturally active ingredients. Our skin is hydrated, soothed, and protected all day long. Yes, hello?
Hi, people of Ghana. My name is Queen Salom, the winner of this year's Ghana's Most Beautiful. I want to use this opportunity to express my sympathy and support to all those affected by the dam spillage. In the light of this situation, Media General and 3 Foundation are mobilizing funds and other essentials to support those affected by the spillage. You can also support by donating items like food, water, clothing, school items, medicine, and many others. You can also donate cash to the Dam Spillage Relief Fund with the Momo number 059-7433-110 or the merchant number 120494. Please, let us all come together and support our brothers and sisters in the Volta region and other regions. Mekata miva bemia bashide Americanchi echia dele. Mauna mikata. God bless Ghana. Thank you.
Sports segment is brought to you by Bell Pack Tissues.
Welcome back to News 360 time now. For Manchester United lost. That's the biggest sports news. Okay, Aniela, what else?
Don't try and package it. Abysmal. The performance was abysmal. But before we get to that, we're starting off with round 7 of the Ghana Premier League. Bechem United managed to walk away with a point at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium following a 1-1 draw with Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Referee's whistle. Goes Richmond Lamptey quickly infected. Kotoko on the threshold of an attack. Here's Peter once again. An opportunity for Peter. Dead on target. 10 minutes gone in the first half. And Peter Aqua registers.
Absolutely. Look at the pass. Look at the. This is a solo brilliant effort. Surrounded by 2 players. Just look at how he checked onto his left foot to deliver that left-footed strike. Peter Aqua, it gets better. What a goal from the youngster, and the ball is sitting under the crossbar to go inside. Great goal by Peter Aqua Amidou.
Avonyo comes back, picks up the ball, and Avonyo tries to tear away. Still with Avonyo, manages a decent cross. Oh! Sublime! Brilliant!
It's spotted by the referees. And the goal will stand. Is that delivery from Avonyo from the left side? It was a great cross, and Ogesirokra was at the right place at the right time to head home the equalizer for Asante.
Proceeding to the English Premier League, Manchester City cruised past Manchester United in the derby at Old Trafford to emphasize the vast gulf.
Sometimes players get so caught up in playing a short.
And Haaland, Anana kept the first effort out, and then it scrambled away off the line by Harry Maguire. Arm around the chest.
Yeah, he's
trick against United at the Etihad, and now his first derby goal at Old Trafford. And Manchester City are making the early running here.
Ireland.
Oh, good effort. And a save to match. Has played in Højlund. Big moment for the youngster. Stumbles. What was the nature and degree of any contact? Play goes on with Højlund and Bruno Fernandes. And Haaland. Build-up was utterly glorious. Manchester City caressing the ball from deep in their own half. Here's Erling Haaland.
Top save. Nana goes to ground but keeps them.
It'll come for Erling Haaland, and it'll be touched in by Philip Foden. Stockport-born, lifelong City fan.
Staying in England, Liverpool players showed their support to absent teammate Luis Diaz during a comfortable win over Nottingham Forest at Anfield. Diaz missed the match following reports his parents had been kidnapped in Colombia, with officials still searching for the winger's missing father after his mother was rescued. Jurgen Klopp's side are 3 points behind leaders Tottenham, while Forest are 16th, 5 points above the relegation zone.
Bel hommage de la part de Portugais. Et au vu des circonstances, il pense...
Heading over to boxing, WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury claimed a controversial split decision victory over former UFC fighter Francois Ngannou in Saudi Arabia. While one judge scored in favor of Ngannou, two favored Fury. However, the Cameroonian believes he won the fight.
If he's being honest, he will say, I won that fight. I won that fight. There is not a question about it. But, you know, and even before getting here, I know like if this fight get to decision, I'm not winning, not because I didn't do good, because I'm a new guy in the house. I come here and I just want to, you know, kick into people's business. I know there's a structured business out there and you need to do a lot to destroy it. That's why he would be upset for them. I wasn't expecting to just win like that into decision. But, you know, it is what it is. I do my job. I know that I did everything that I could have done. I did my best. Maybe next time I should just do better to convince.
Shot quickly. Oh, big shot from Ngannou, who dances after his success.
That will be all for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alute. Up next is entertainment news.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water, GTP Lifestyled, Vodafone, Further Together, and powered by 3 Entertainment.
Segment Media and Entertainment Executive Baba Sadiq Abdullahi Abu has urged Ghanaian record labels and music executives to invest and be intentional about promoting their artists if they want to see them succeed on the global stage. Baba Sadiq was contributing to 3 Entertainment's X Spaces conversation on the role of music executives in promoting Ghanaian music globally.
But today, you cannot afford not to have a strategy and be intentional. You've got to be intentional. You've got to roll it out. You've got to have a timeline for it. You've got to run it like a campaign. So previously in the industry where it was more or less about Chalemoku release, the fans will carry it and everything. That has been played out. Now you hear things like, what's the rollout strategy? You know, Charlie, what will be the rollout strategy? How do we move? Because every day there's something new. Every day there are 1,000 songs that are pushed out. There are a lot of emails that are pushed out. What is the strategy? What is the budget? You cannot. And that's why when somebody said that, oh, if you don't have money, no, let's begin to deconstruct that. That era where it was like, oh, Charlie, if you don't have money and you have an interest, guy, you will die. It's gone. Because it's gone. So, I mean, Joe, today, as part of a strategy, your TikTok strategy alone, you've got to have a budget. So the system gradually is whipping and shaping everybody. So you cannot afford to. If you do not have money, well, it can be on the grace or some inshallah vibes, but you've got to be intentional. People that have been intentional, we've seen the results. Of course, not everybody, but if you see any talents that have blown from Africa to the world in the ways, it was because they were intentional. Look, our African talents now are charging more money for endorsement and performances, even than your American stars. They are filling bigger venues in the countries that Americans are. Roddy Ricch cannot fill some of the places Burna Boy has filled.
That's facts. Not even in America. Not even
in America. He cannot. Not even within America. Because Atlantic and the team were very intentional about this is how we are going to go about it.
In more entertainment news this evening, media personality and artist manager Sammy Flex says Ghana is blessed with incredible music talents who unfortunately do not get the needed financial backing to promote their work. He called on business executives and organizations to consider investing in Ghanaian artists and talents to help them break into the global music market.
I also wanted to say something about this music executive thing.
in Ghana as compared to some African countries. I'm sure we are really lacking when it comes to the music executive thing, because at this stage, if you come to our music space, you might not see more people coming out as music executives, because the executive thing has to do with those who have the funds to actually start the whole engine. In Ghana, we seem to have more talent than the music executive thing. So because of that.
You mean some investors? Or
yes, investors are part of it. Investors are part of it. Yeah, okay. they are part of it, and I'm not sure. At this time in Ghana, we have so many people doing it. That is why I would always advise that we don't put so much pressure on the few artists who are doing their independent things, because when we do, we make them feel like they are not part of this whole process of doing music. Because as it stands now, when it comes to Ghana, if we are to do a rating of a percentage of our artists who are doing their music trade as independent artists, and those who have maybe labels or executives behind them, we're going to have about 80 to 20.
And that's it for the segment. Coming up, international news.
Pope Francis has called for a ceasefire in the war between Israel and Hamas. At his weekly blessing in St. Peter's Square, the pontiff also renewed an appeal for the release of hostages held by the Palestinian militant group in Gaza. Francis spoke as Israeli forces waged ground operations against Hamas in Gaza in what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the second phase of a 3-week-old war aimed at crushing the group. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has also reiterated his call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the hostages captured by Hamas. Rebels backed by the Islamic State group have killed 2 Ugandan soldiers in an attack that also left 2 civilians and a suspected assailant dead in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. 2 truck drivers, a Kenyan and a Congolese, were shot dead Friday night by IS-affiliated Allied Democratic Forces at a car park in Kasindi. The Islamic State group claimed the attack in a statement posted to the messaging app Telegram on Saturday evening.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Our website 3news.com has many more stories for you. My name is Martin Esiedudate.
I am Portia Gabo. Up next is Mental.